ask you something about that because I'm taking medicine right now.
Okay.
Let me
Great.
take my second teaspoon.
We're
if you don't
live
mind.
right now, so whatever you're doing is being broadcast to the whole world. So
I don't care. I burned
yeah.
all my boats.
Okay.
I don't even have an oar left.
Okay. Welcome everyone to our book study group for what day is it? It is Monday, August 9th, 2021. John Lavenia here with you for the triumphant conclusion of Integrity is Everything by me. I didn't send out the reminder today, so we got Catherine's here. We could start the party. Missy and Bob are here. Good to see you guys. We can't really have a book study group without Lindsay Dollar England, so I'm sure she'll be along any moment now. But I'm glad to be here with you, Missy. You had a comment you wanted to open up with a profundity for the world. Please.
To be honest, I didn't finish the last two chapters because I've been working on Mugs and Gear Bubble up the wazoo. Excuse me, everybody. But Bob gave me a little, like it's not okay to be sick because you're successful in one area of your life. So I have been sick, however you want to say it, from wrong thinking for many, 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 many decades. And it's not okay. And I'm choosing to believe that, because when he first told me, I got upset, like it's not okay, but I can't help some things that are going on in my body, but if I understand it correctly, you are not to use that as an excuse. Just because you're successful over here, you're not going to accept this over here. Am I thinking, is that correct?
Okay, so we're getting right into the chapter that it's not okay. Right. So that doesn't mean that you invalidate yourself. That just means that you stop buying your own excuses because other people co-signed them. That's the essence of that chapter. And what I was attempting to convey is that we hedge or we waffle or we, this idea. I'm sorry.
Rationalize.
Well, there you go. We rationalize to ourselves, right? We rationalize. There's Lindsay. I knew she was coming. 20 push-ups right now, girl. You're late. All right.
No, I'll do it. I'm turning my camera off.
No.
Consider it done.
No. Oh my goodness. No.
Don't think I won't do it.
All right. All right. You're good. You're good. You're forgiven. All right. So
I just have to tell you, I picked between. I have a director under me, and I was on the Rank Up Extravaganza, and so I'm at book club.
Oh wow. Well, very good. I was not hosting that. That's a different. Missy sometimes wonders, if I can bilocate or if there's two of me, because there's another session that was going on that I typically host for another company, another program, and I'm not there because I was down to the minute until I got on this one, helping other clients. Anyway, so the idea here is, has anyone heard of tacit consent? Tacit meaning unspoken, yes. Consent meaning consent, right? So this is something that Dorothea Brand wrote about in her legendary book, Wake Up and Live, where I won't hold you to account for your mediocrity as long as you don't hold me to account for it. Okay. And then when we get into this chapter, it's not okay. The thing that was coming up for me, there was this book, I won't even mention the name of it. Okay. But there was this book that I read. I think it was one of the ones that were recommended by Oprah, right? And everybody needs to go out and buy this friggin' book now. So it's an instant bestseller and all this. By the way, did you guys notice, those of you who are just getting oriented with this book, you've just read Integrity is Everything for the first time. Did you notice right on the cover, it says the instant bestseller right across the top?
I did.
So many books say New York Times bestseller. Like I give a shit what the New York Times thinks. Okay. So what I decided was that this is my first book. And as soon as I sell even one copy, it is instantly a bestseller. It's my best-selling book that I've ever written. So I just went ahead and had the artist put it on the cover, the instant bestseller.
I love it.
Yeah. Fully postulating that at least one person is going to buy this book.
That's what I call digging the ditches.
That's it.
You dug the ditches.
Nerve.
Yeah,
That's crazy nerve.
the instant bestseller. So now I can't do that with my second book because, we'll see if it outproduces this one. And I've written a couple other small books, but I never like published them to Amazon and stuff. It's more like ebooks, as here's a free giveaway and then opt into to the marketing and stuff. But the idea here is that I was reading this book that was recommended by people who purportedly know stuff. And it was shit. Oh my goodness. And it was all this, I'm okay, you're okay. And, give yourself a break. Well, how many breaks are we going to give ourselves? And how many excuses are we going to buy from ourselves that, it's okay that you don't achieve goals in your life? This is basically what they were saying in the book, is that you're okay, even if you don't achieve, your purposes. Like, what the hell do you know about your purpose anyway? I'm like, no. I know purpose. Okay. And if I want to be friggin' miserable, then I could sit around and have no purpose. And I did it for years of my life. And I almost ended up dead. Okay. Purposeless living. Missy wants to know where I get all my energy from. And I jokingly say, yeah, it's the magic vitamins. And I take some pretty badass vitamins, but I'll tell you what's behind all of that is the purpose. And without that, I don't care how many Band-Aids we put on it or how many self-help books I read from the mystical, people who burn the incense or get on Oprah or something. No Band-Aid is going to do this for me. And so perhaps the reason that this chapter is so bold is because I've been on this sort of intellectual pursuit for so long that I like to look at why things work and why things don't work. I have this background, obviously, with my mechanical training, right? As a diagnostician, I can discover what is wrong with this piece of machinery, and I'm really friggin' good at it. I don't do that professionally anymore, but I can find problems and propose solutions and stuff like that. And so when I look at how many Band-Aids people are putting on their own irresponsibility, their own buying of their own excuses, and that whole life of concession, right? I concede. Oh, is that what we're doing here? Is that what self-help is about? No, not at all. It's not okay. No, it's not okay. Stop buying your own excuses. Now, if you're barking up the wrong trade, like in the wrong vehicle, we talked about opportunity knocks. I think it was last week, right? Well, go get yourself into the right business. Go do what you got to do. Okay. That doesn't mean you're blindly, marching forward into nothingness. Okay. So we do seek direction and we do assess and optimize. Okay. But the idea that, it's okay for you to, be a wife beater and, 200 pounds overweight because you make a lot of money or something. Bullshit. No, not okay. Okay. And so that's the essence of the chapter. I know I'm getting a little rambunctious here. I even had to bleep out some of my words, like in the audiobook, which I do need to republish. I originally published it on CDs, compact discs. You guys remember those?
Yeah.
How about a 45?
45. Yeah.
8-track.
8 tracks. Yeah.
8-track.
Right.
Vinyl.
So my daughter actually just got a turntable. She was so hot on getting a turntable. I'm like, and what records are you going to play? And I said, you got like the iPhone, you got Alexa, iTunes, right? So like I've archived all my vinyl onto digital now. It's all on my server. So if I want to listen to my old vinyl, it's on my server. She's like, no, I got to have vinyl records. So she got this record player for like $100 or whatever it is. And she wound up going to a store and she bought like Barry Manilow and like whatever they had. I think she got an AC/DC record. So she got something listenable, but yeah, she's all about like the vintage technology. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, right. So I actually bleeped myself out on the CDs. And so I got to get it on Audible now, but it was on 5 compact discs. And when I sold out of 1,000 units or whatever I bought, that was it. I never reordered. But here's the idea, is that this was welling up in me. This was actually most of this chapter was like the first chapter that I wrote in this book. And I was thinking, there's no way you can, this can't be chapter 1, John. This can't be chapter 1. Like, you're just going to like, I'm already known as the Godzilla of personal growth, right? This is just going to be like fire breathing brimstone or whatever. And so, yeah, we put 10 or so chapters in front of it. But truly, I hope that gives you a bit more of an understanding. It's not about being like new agey or something, and not, acknowledging or confronting your shortcomings. Okay. It's about doing the exact opposite. It is really confronting them and being, if we could say, dissatisfied with it. Okay, great. I have faltered. I have missed the mark, right? That's the most basic definition of sin. I have missed the mark, and no, it's not okay. And then you can go ahead and make amends. But as Ralph Emerson said, of what use to make heroic vows of amendment if the same old lawbreaker is to keep them? So it's not a Band-Aid approach. And so that's my main thing that I wanted to get across with this book, right? Is that you actually have to have some friggin' integrity with yourself. Because if not, we can put all the Band-Aids we want on it. You get to continue to number one, not fulfill purposes and reach goals. And number two, give an example to everybody else about how they too can remain mediocre. And after all, there's limits to everything. And you can't fight City Hall, and, insert excuse here. Story, no evolution. No friggin' evolution. I am either part of the problem or part of the solution. So there's no Band-Aids in this book. In fact, I remember, saying in the first chapter, if you wanted to curl up with a good book by the fireplace and your, hot cocoa or something, this isn't the book for you. Go read something else, So does that give you some perspective, Missy?
Yes, it does. And I feel better about myself because I did almost die.
Mm-hmm.
I was 90 pounds. I had last rites. A priest came in and I couldn't take it anymore. It was 20 years ago. And I said, Father, is it okay to let go? Because I couldn't cope anymore. And he said, yes, if you're running to God. If you're running away from what you're facing, it's not okay. That's literally what he said to me. And I was like inside, oh crap. I have to keep, and I did. I kept going, and I'm still here. I was like days away, and I held on, and I'm so kind of proud of myself. I'm mad that I got a relapse, but I'm working anyway. So I didn't buy. It's not okay. I complained a lot and jumped up and down a lot and made Bob insane a lot. But I finally burned my boats and said, I am, regardless of the condition, I am moving forward and doing it. So I don't want to cry or anything, but it's
Do whatever you want.
big for me,
Mm-hmm. Well, good. I'm glad you're here and giving yourself permission to disapprove, right? That's fine. We could be a bit contrarian. I am so attracted to contrarian thoughts and teachings, right? Because it causes us to think and to really look and to confront, all right, is this workable or not? So there's nothing that I'm like interested in being an expert in something that is just regurgitating, with some other Band-Aid philosophy that is really a non-philosophy. It's just a bunch of fluff for the purpose of getting on a bestseller list. So if you're willing to look and confront, the reality of, the in points and the out points of your own experience, then what? Then you get to be cause over it. Then you get to say, you know what, now that I've looked and I can know for myself, well, now I can do something about it, right? And part of being responsible is knowing what you can do, like what part of this can I be responsible for? And part of it is also knowing what you can't do. This is outside of my circle of influence. I am not cause in that area. Well, okay. So then, you know what? We're not alone here. Look, I have to live on this planet with you guys, and you guys are the sane ones, right? Yeah. So here we are on this rock, and there's 7.4 billion of us. What did Goethe say? In fact, I think I quoted him in this chapter too. We need not go to a madhouse to find disordered minds. Our planet is the mental institution of the universe. Oh my goodness. So yeah, can I cause some evolution? It's going to have to come through my example. People talk excuse me, people talk again and again about, this could be better, or look at what they did wrong and all that. What's that saying? Be the change you wish to see in the world. That's it. That's the essence of this chapter. It's not okay for me to fail you because I didn't have integrity. I didn't have integrity. I failed you. Not okay. Sounds kind of rigid. Oh, well, sounds like whatever it is. But I guess we can now look at the stats, right? If we want results and not platitudes, it's not okay. You're fired, in other words. That's what Trump would say. You're fired. And so there are times when I've had to fire myself. Enough with your excuses. Enough with this same old lawbreaker showing up thinking that because he, got lofty for a minute because he read some self-help nonsense that it's okay. Now you're forgiven, but right, make heroic vows of amendment and then keep them. Go ahead. You had something else you wanted to say.
Well, is that what the 12-step programs do? They don't let you do that. It's not okay if somebody comes in, I got drunk last night. They don't say, we understand. I mean, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
Is that the purpose of the group is to keep you accountable, right? Everybody's going to fall off the wagon, whatever your wagon is.
No.
But the whole purpose, right? Am I on the
No.
right track?
No, not everybody's going to fall off the wagon. I could tell you that. I could tell you that because for those who don't know, I think everyone here knows. Catherine, did you know this? That my entree into, self-help, personal development, philosophy, all the stuff that I've been swimming in for 35 years was as a troubled youth. And I showed up in 12-step fellowships.
Mhm.
And I was almost dead at age 15, running the streets of New Jersey. Right. So in fact, I mentioned that in the opening chapter, Meet the Guru. But in the 12 steps, which is just 12 steps basically for living a sober life, for getting sober and remaining sober or clean, right? In the drug addict parlance. But the first step, right, is that we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction and that our lives had become unmanageable. So that is the first and only step that would be considered like near an absolute, right? Because if you don't, if you're putting chemicals, mind-altering chemicals, drugs, alcohol, whatever, okay, whatever the drug of choice is, but if you're putting mind-altering chemicals into your body, you've got no shot at doing all these other steps, right? Which include things like making amends for people you've wronged and basically getting clean hands and getting a purpose in your life. And so, and we're not going to go through them here today. I suppose we could actually bust out, an Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous text and go through them. It's pretty cool stuff. But the idea that if you put a drug in your body, you lose. You've got no shot. That's not okay. Okay. And I've been to because I was very active and involved in that community and that fellowship for about 10 years. And I've been to many, viewings, wakes, right, funerals of people who just, they fell off the wagon one too many times, right? And they made excuses for it. And we keep welcoming back in. Everybody can come in anytime, grab a cup of coffee, put $1 in the basket. Well, what happened to Bob? Well, let me use a different name because there's a Bob on here right now. What happened to Rick? His funeral's on Tuesday. Yeah, they found him with a needle in his arm down in the gutter. That happened a lot. So perhaps because of the super high necessity level of John actually adopting and putting to use some of this philosophy, maybe that's why you hear, a bit of Godzilla with that, because it was life or death. Now, is it an advantage or a disadvantage that it was life or death? We could say, oh, what a disadvantaged, humble beginnings. And wow, who could get through that? Okay. I look at it the other way. In fact, I consider this with my daughter, because my daughter, we're parenting to the best of our ability, and we have a nice community, and she's growing up with other nice kids and good education and all this stuff. And she has two arguably sane parents who also test at genius level with the IQ and everything. So we're giving her every possible advantage. And I'm wondering, when she comes of age, will she have that same drive that if she hasn't walked through fire, and I don't know what trials she'll have in her life, because nobody goes through life unscathed, right? Okay. But the fact that she hasn't walked through fire like I have, is that actually a disadvantage for her? So I consider that. And then I look at, all right, here are people who let's say they were, they were the quarterback or the cheerleader in high school, and they are, they've never had like major life problems and stuff. Can they embrace with that same fervor and definiteness? Can they embrace philosophies that will move them exponentially further ahead? Good is the enemy of great. So was it an advantage or a disadvantage? Perhaps, well, looking, in hindsight, I could say, oh, an advantage. Here's another advantage that I had as an abused child. Okay, what kind of advantage is that, John? You kidding me? You were hiding under your bed and in your closet from this abusive stepfather and everything. How's that an advantage? I'll tell you how that's an advantage. I learned how to sell at a really early age. Sell my way out of punishments, right? Communicate with a very big, intimidating customer, right? Who dominates over me. Oh, I learned how to communicate under duress. Advantage or disadvantage? Again, I'm not repeating that with my progeny, right? It's not like, all right, Trin, here's your lesson for today, right? And then beat her up. No, come on. So I can go ahead and release that. And I know that whatever her path is, it is. All I can do is be the best, guidance, and tell her the tales of, here's how it was when Daddy grew up or failed to grow up, right? Here's that scene. And sometimes I'll offer, some insights on that just to give her some perspective, because her problems, relatively speaking, and all of us who are parents can look at kids and say, oh, really, you think you got problems? Yeah. Stay a kid for as long as you can. Okay. But truly, if I can also balance that with, because kids want to grow up and be, big boys and girls and grown-ups, right? So if I can balance that with an example of, hey, my life is working now, and I'm not sitting here lamenting, what happened to me when I was your age and younger, right? Which ultimately got me turning to the streets, at age 13 and all this. Once the abusive factor was removed from my environment, I just exploded. But she doesn't have to walk that path. She's going to walk a different path. The best I can do is be the best example I have and communicate that to her. And my goodness, she is way ahead. And hopefully everyone who's in a parenting or a mentoring relationship, right? You're doing the same as mentors. Let's say you're a leader in business, Lindsay. Okay, you're a leader in business. You got your hand up. Come on out here. But is it not your intent that the next generation, your progeny, so to speak, right? Those you enroll into the operations of the enterprise, right? That they do it better, stronger, and faster? Of course, you intend that.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Yes. And just because we're not children anymore.
Says who?
Thank you. That's what I was getting
Right.
at. Why can't I go out and, okay, my 14-year-old's like, Mom, we got this holly tree out there. He's like, all my baseballs are stuck in the top of that. And he's got friends over. We come climb that tree and get my baseballs out. I'm like, and then my husband said, are you really asking your mom to climb that tree and get the baseballs out? It's like, well, none of us are going to do it. We feel, we're too heavy. We'll break the branches or whatever. I was like, so you're scared. Okay, that's cool. He's like, you're really going to get your mom to do it? I was like, it's okay, I'll do it. So I don't have any problem being a kid. It's just, if you're having a bad day, you have to get in a better mindset. Go outside and like spin in circles until you fall. You will be in a better mindset. John says, do 10 push-ups, do 20 jumping jacks. It works. And why the hell not?
Wow.
But I still take care of my responsibilities, and I'm still a parent, and my kids are bigger than me. And I say, y'all may be bigger than me, but I'm meaner than you. You know, better off the straight and narrow. But you know, it's just like, why do I have to not be a kid? And people look at me like I have 3 heads because I still can act like a kid. Maybe because
Right.
I'm the size of a kid. I'm not sure, but that's where I found my grit, maybe, where it's
Mhm.
like, well, you know, you want to be complaining about, oh, my back's killing me. I'm like, well, what can I? That's my husband when he says that. I'm like, man, what the hell am I gonna put on his tombstone? Man, husband killed by back. I'm like, why would you say that? You know, I'm like, go out and do something. You know, I don't know. You can't take the kid out of me, but I am responsible and a
Mhm.
responsible adult. That just don't make sense to me.
Okay. Well,
Have fun.
you reminded me of of something here, Lindsay. I had a conversation with a client today who was in tears, and they were so engrossed in their difficulties. They're in the game of
Mhm.
business, and in any game, we've got a purpose for the game, and then we've got the things we can do, and then we've got the barriers to doing them, right? So
Mhm.
in that case, she was focused on the barriers and only the barriers for like a week on end, just problem, problem, problem. She was in tears.
Yeah, I've done that. It's
Yeah.
hard.
And I said to this person, I asked them, what book are you reading right now? Well, I'm not reading any books. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And then I said, how's the weather where you are? Oh, well, it's, it's humid, and there's fires over there, forest fires and smoke and all this. Okay. So here's what you do. Start reading this book. And I sent her a copy of Think and Grow Rich, digital, it's out of copyright. So here's a free copy of that, and do something objective. And if you can't go outside today because you're having breathing problems or something, then like polish the stainless steel on your refrigerator. Clean your toilet. Do something objective. No thought, no evaluations, not what you think about it. Stuff. You need to touch stuff, look at stuff, and get in present time. Because right now you're everywhere but present time. You're frantic. Okay. So you're not putting in good inputs, and you're engrossed in the subjectivity of life. Go do something objective. And then I'll check
Yeah,
in with them.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. And I've done that. I've taken my book of Think and Grow Rich, and well, my kids were a little smaller then, but I was like, let's play hide and seek. You know, can't get out of the yard. That was the rule, but they didn't know that I could get on the roof of the house. So,
Right.
but my husband brought the ladder, so I climbed up to and I was sitting there and I was walking around looking at them, watching. They're like, she's got to be out of this yard. I'm like, so I sat down and watched them look for me for an hour, and while I read a book. And they were fine. And then I realized my husband was not bringing the ladder. I said, I will jump. He's like, whoa, time out. Because he knows I'll do it. But he's like, Mom, you got us. I was like, look up. It's the story of my life. You got to look up. So, but I mean, why not? I mean, it gets you out of that space that I've learned a lot this past year. I'm not going to lie. I feel like a totally different person.
Wow.
Especially when I first met John, because I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to say anything. And it's like, well, why not? I mean, if you're still talking about something stupid I said tomorrow, then hey, I've made an impact of some sort. I don't really care what kind. Make a spectacle, whatever. I don't know. It's just,
Great.
I don't know,
Wow.
I'm having fun now.
You are fun, Lindsay. You are fun, and you keep it simple. So thank you.
I have to. I'm a blonde.
Oh my goodness.
So,
You're reminding me of some blonde jokes now. Maybe we can use them on.
bring them on. I've heard them all.
Yeah, fun Friday. But look,
Fun Friday.
that answer came via your action. Okay. So the other chapter that we reviewed this week is, and we haven't even opened the book yet, but you are the answer. The height of mastery is simplicity. But these answers, which reveal themselves as very simple, reveal themselves via your action. We can't just sit around and postulate our way into having our answer. We can postulate, here's the goal, here's the guaranteed future outcome, here's the result, Here's why I'm showing up. Here's the purpose. Those are good postulates. But now they are revealed. The answer to how to actually accomplish all this is revealed by your action. Okay. Otherwise, we're just sitting here stopped. And so, and yes, there's a time for silence and meditation and all that. We already talked about that. Okay. But now I am going to move my feet and I am going to reveal that I am on the right path by actual demonstration. By demonstration. This is the missing link for a lot of people. And again, remember the title of the book, right? Integrity. Okay. So while you've got these lofty intentions and you've assigned, purpose to yourself and all this, that's all very nice. What are you doing about it? And that's perhaps what Missy was also referring to just at the beginning of our talk, right? Is now we've actually got to do it. Action. Which immediately, like we talked about objective activities and just doing something with objects rather than just thinking all the time, especially for us who work online, right? We've got to commingle subjective and objective actions. We can't just always be in the thinking of it, okay? And the significance or the non-significance of it. We've got to, and that's why I'll do this all the time, like with my daughter, right? She starts getting cranky on her math or whatever. We'll just get back to present time. Let's take a walk. Let's go look at the birds, right? Saw a roadrunner the other day. I don't know how many of you have actually seen a real live roadrunner, but we got them here in Arizona. And they're elusive, they come and they go with the wind, right? And they run around the road and they got a little beak and they go, and they're like making little sounds. And they got a little blue and red right here. And yeah, so anyone who's familiar with the Roadrunner cartoons, that's like a real thing here in Arizona. And we got coyotes too. But anyway, we saw a
Acme
roadrunner.
company out there?
What was that?
Is the Acme company out there?
I don't know about Acme.
It's in Kansas City.
Oh, you have
Okay.
to-
Well, maybe they
Yeah.
got roadrunners there too. But actually, just a quick tangent, and then I'd love to hear from Catherine, who hasn't gotten a word in, since it's an intimate crowd today. Everybody's got to talk. Okay, but roadrunners, you know how most birds have like 3 claws in front and then 1 in back? Roadrunners have 2 in front, 2 in back. Did you know that?
Mm.
So the Native Americans learned from the roadrunner. They considered it the bird of war. Okay, the bird of war. And so when the Native Americans were concealing their position, some of them would walk forwards and some would walk backwards. So the footprints were going in both different directions. They learned that from the roadrunner. So which way are they going? I don't know. Right. So interesting little tip there. Roadrunners have an X pattern. Catherine, what are your thoughts on all these profound things that we're talking about today?
Heck. I guess the big thing for me was just, it's not okay, because we talked earlier today, I've got lupus. I just got diagnosed this last year. So I'm still in the recovery stages. So for me, everything's been really slow, and I'm trying to remember, okay, one day at a time, one thing at a time, as long as I keep moving forward, consistency. But it's tough because, do you know what a spoonie is? Have you heard that term?
Whatty?
A spoonie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
You only have so many.
Yeah,
a
I
day.
thought you might know. Missy. It's a term for someone with an invisible illness.
Okay.
Um,
I've not heard that. Is that a derogatory term?
No.
no, it's not. It just the way I've heard it explained is most people have like an endless bucket of energy, and we have spoons. We have a very small, number of, energy, and when it's gone, it's gone. We're just done. Last week I dropped. I was coming up the stairs. I have 1 flight of stairs in my house. I was coming up the stairs, and all of a sudden that was it. I was down, and I hit the floor halfway up the stairs, and I was down for a week. So, I just have to remember, for me, that I have to do it one thing at a time. I can't rush. I can't push too much, but consistency will get me there.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess it kind of spoke to me. I've been really frustrated the last week just
Okay.
because of that going down, having this illness. It's been a rough week.
Understood. A question, and I'm totally ignorant about, the mechanics of that, disease. Is there a nutritional therapy that also could come into play with that in terms of increasing your energy?
There is. Right now I'm going through, they call it the SIBO protocol, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Got that
So-
too.
Missy knows that, don't you?
Is that like a probiotic regimen or something?
Yeah.
You have to cut out all sugars, all starches, basically anything fun in your diet that you enjoy. Right now, I can't have vanilla extract flavoring because of the sugars in it.
You can't have anything.
No. And to top it off, I've been vegan for 30 years. I'm allergic to cow dairy. I'm allergic to corn, and I'm allergic to soy. So I'm like, what do you want me to eat?
I see. Okay. Is that vegan? I'm sorry, we're off topic, but I'm just interested. Maybe we should do this sidebar.
Yeah.
Is the vegan choice, is that by choice, or is that like
I'm vegetarian by choice. I have been for 30 years. I'm vegan. I usually tell people I'm vegan because it's easier than saying I can't have anything that's bovine. I can have goat and I can have sheep, but I can't have bovine.
got it? Okay.
Can't have cow.
Well, thank you for, because I'm unaware of like all the ins and outs of that.
Yeah.
I do know that when I was a vegan for 9 months, and 9 months, and then I fell off the vegetable cart. So whereas
It can kill you. It can kill you if you don't do it right. It can kill you.
well, whereas Missy said falling off the wagon, I fell off the vegetable cart over a trough of bacon and some salami. But people told me, John, if you ever eat meat again, you're going to feel like you were poisoned. Oh yeah, okay, right. And you know how I felt? Friggin' awesome. So different body types, I suppose.
Bacon. Ooh.
Yeah, I just said bacon, Lindsay. Okay.
Even
All
my
right.
dog ran in here and he's
Yeah.
like,
One of my friends,
"Is there bacon?"
one of my friends likes to send me pictures of like bacon margaritas. to
Oh
tease me.
my goodness.
I'm like, gross.
Okay. Oh, I saw somebody had what's called a shrimp teeny. It's a martini with a shrimp on the skewer, a little shrimp teeny. I was like, I don't know anything about alcohol, but okay. Shrimp teeny. Anyway, Catherine, I'd love to connect with you more on that and talk a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing. I'm really glad we got you in this conversation. I'm going to share my screen real quick. We're already 40 minutes in, so I'm just going to rip through a couple of the highlights that I went through in this book. And then we are going to be starting Raymond Hollywell's classic, Working with the Law, next week. So in our member site, for everyone who's a member, you can go ahead and grab a link to that. You just grab it on Amazon. Let me share my screen. Where's the stuff? Here is the stuff. It's not okay. Okay. So I gave a lot of distinctions in this chapter about where I've heard excuses being made, either making them to myself or listening to other people buying their own and each other's excuses. The idea of compromise and mediocrity is an easy sell for people who refuse to accept responsibility for their results. And they can even cite, let's say, scripture, right? Because, some deity is going to do something for them that they're not willing to do for themselves. We kind of talked about this in a previous chapter. It's another statement of irresponsibility. Here it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. To me, this is so appropriate. I was actually just going through some old t-shirts and I pulled this one up and I thought of you, Bob. I bought this at a flea market or something. I don't know if you guys can see this. Make it out. Okay, social hazard. There you go. And it says, I will not conform, Romans 12:2.
Love it.
And look at the quote. Look at the quote on the book, Romans 12:2. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Somebody printed that on a shirt. And then here, do not conform to the pattern of this world. Romans 12:2. And it's got some design there. Bob, maybe you know what that design means. I don't know. Okay, so
Demonic.
can you believe this? I'm walking around with scripture on my shirt.
St. John, that's
Yeah.
who you want.
Yeah, so there it is. And so I got to the point where I was just exasperated with this whole thing. So I am here to say, with the biggest, loudest, most thunderous voice I can, it's not okay. If you intend to get anywhere in your life, if you believe anything that we've been talking about here in terms of being a person who's able to fulfill your desires, that your vision for yourself is actually God's will for you, then no, it's not blank okay that you're not getting the result that you say you want. And then here's some examples. Here's Tom Edison, right? I'm dissatisfied with candles and hot oil lamps. Let's do something with this electricity thing. Not okay. Great. Let's go invent something. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you can be all things to all people all the time. I give a couple of silly examples here. Oh, I can be a racehorse jockey and, a pro wrestler. Okay. So no, I mean, in fact, I met an actual jockey. This guy was like 80 pounds, full grown man, 80 pounds, 4 foot something. Lindsay, maybe you could be, Lindsay, you would be like a big jockey, like big.
I would be what?
Big, like a horse jockey, like the horse jockeys, like racehorse jockeys,
Yeah.
the guys that ride them, they're
Oh,
these
yeah.
tiny little guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
I'm down with that.
yeah. But the point is that all right, if I was a little 80-pound guy, I wouldn't have like my dream of being a SmackDown wrestler. It's just not in me. But something's in me, right? And if it's the horse jockey, go be the damn best horse jockey in the world. Don't deny yourself that.
Pro
Right.
wrestler, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we look at all this, the idea of just theorizing only or regurgitating what somebody else, said in some book or something that's supposed to be instructive, that's not experiential knowledge. That doesn't make you an expert. Quoting L. Ron Hubbard here, and this is a guy who was heavy duty into self-determinism and, the actual causation and what people are here to actually do. He says a quote therapy, which teaches that man should adapt himself to his environment rather than adapt the environment to him, is a slave therapy, a slave philosophy, and is not workable only because it is quite the reverse from truth. So the truth, cause and effect, right? If we are just living at the effect of life and all the other inputs, right, then we are not working with the law of life. That is a slave philosophy. And there's so many of them out there. And that's where I was thinking, man, so much of the self-help crap just keeps people running in circles, looking to put a Band-Aid on stuff that they're not actually willing to stand up and do something about. Where's the integrity in that? And then I said here, if you come across a teaching like that, burn the book. Like don't even sell it on eBay. Do society a favor and have one less of those books on the planet. Because man was born to be rich or grow rich by use of his faculties by the union of thought with nature. Ralph Emerson. So what's real for you? What possibilities are there? Well, they're the ones that you allow others to convince you are not real for you. So these are the possibilities, the stops that are not real for you, the limitations. These are the ones that you allow others to convince you are not real for you. So what is real for you? Are you willing to look and assess and optimize and make something of yourself, knowing that it's not okay for you to not do so, because then you're just taking up space. I heard somebody say, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up way too much space. And so we look at what most people do when confronted with opportunity. And this was at a time when I was teaching people marketing techniques and such. But most of the people do exactly nothing with the information. You can give the information freely, but when opportunity is dressed in work clothes, a lot of people don't take action. According to Goethe, everybody wants to be somebody. Nobody wants to grow. I know that's a generality that he's using there. All right. So it's obviously not true. Nobody wants to grow. No, but I think he's making his point. Okay. Some of the people that I confronted via these networking websites. So keep in mind, this book was written in 2008, right? Facebook was a pretty new thing, and YouTube started in 2005, right? So there was these networking sites. You guys have heard of these? Now we call them social media. And I sought out, some people contacted me, and I tell them what I'm doing. Oh, wow, you've become so successful. Oh, I could only dream of being that successful. Like I'm some kind of a celebrity or something. Right. So people instinctively, and Missy, you and I have talked about this, and Catherine, so have you and I, they just instinctively separate themselves from the so-called special people. Here are those few special people. And I am not the special people. I am the commoners. I am the peasants, right? But you special people over there, I could never do that. And society reinforces this all the time. Mass media, what I call celebrityism, right? Here's the gossip rags, People magazine. And these are interesting people, by the way. In fact, you should pay to be interested in these people. You're not interesting, okay? But you should be interested in them. And so give us money for the gossip rags so you can read about who's getting their divorce for the fourth time and whose kids are on drugs and whose lives aren't working. And you want to be like these people, right? They're celebrities. So this is a very separatist kind of thinking. And sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's very overt. But the idea that you are apart from and not a part of is rampant throughout society. Not okay. Not okay. I've heard it said there's walls around Wall Street, right? So there are these, the insiders, the cabal, right? But then on the outside, there's all the peasants groveling for scraps, right? This whole idea of separation, right? And that you can't. Not okay. Not okay to buy into that idea that you can't. So, because here's the thing. When I look at some of these great people who I've studied, right? Here's a few of them. Here's Ben, Ralph, Jesus, Muktananda, Gandhi, Napoleon Hill. There's a few examples. How about me? How about you? Right? So why are we so anxious to separate or automatically separating ourselves from these people whose names I just said here, who did great stuff? Well, are you going to do great stuff?
Yes.
If not you, then who? Right? People talk about leaving a legacy. Okay, well, start, do it. And so to whatever degree I've done it. Now, of course, I point the finger, 3 more point back. All right, John, we'll do it now. Okay, well, I wrote the book. All right, there's a start. And what else can I do? I can show up and carry the message of self determinism and causation to as many people as are willing to listen. I can do that stuff. Hey, Cecilia, welcome. I can do that stuff, right? And I think about what influence am I here to have, right? And why not me, right? Look at, in fact, I mentioned here, why wouldn't you be included in a list of highly successful or impactful or influential people on this planet? If someone with the mental state of even a Hitler could be so influential, why couldn't you? And we could talk more about, why, that movement became so influential. You can read books like The True Believer by Eric Hoffer, which talks about the formations of cults and governments and other criminal organizations. And you could see, what were the ingredients of that. And it has to do with an infallible doctrine or leader and other factors. But yeah, I'm not saying that you go be Hitler or something, but I'm saying, look, here's someone who I would imagine has a much lower moral character than you, and they got pretty influential. So are you holding yourself back? I guess that's the side question in there. Is it somehow something not okay with you that you're so dastardly or sinister that you dare not reach and have an effect lest you, harm others? Which is very normal. If we've been walking around with like some inferiority complex because we let society sell us some bill of goods that we can't, or we're not good enough, or we're not part of the in group, or whatever nonsense, right? Then you're not going to reach. You're going to hold yourself back. Because look, you don't want to be wrong. You certainly don't want to harm others. And if we're walking around with all this self-doubt, right? Well, I dare not reach lest I make an ass of myself. But of course, Lindsay knows the punchline to all that. I dare to make an ass of myself. Oh my
Okay.
goodness. Yeah.
Dare,
Right.
man. I dare you.
There you go. And then here's the rest of the seemingly subtle. If you've read the chapter, you know what we're talking about here. Why there's virtue in poverty, right? Oh, well, we may not be rich, but we're honest. Oh, screw you, man. Why'd you have to say that? Right? That was in that movie, Spider-Man. Spider-Man with poor old Uncle Bob or whatever his name was. Sorry, Bob, I keep using your name. Frank, Uncle Frank, I think was his name. Poor old Uncle Frank, but at least he's honest. Yeah, yeah. Here's George Bernard Shaw. Lack of money is the root of all evil. Okay, sit on that one for a while. So no, there is no virtue in poverty. For those of you who've read Science of Getting Rich, right? Wallace Wattles makes that case very clearly, very clearly. But now we get into the ramifications, the long range ramifications of my lack of integrity, my unwillingness to leave a legacy, my unwillingness to reach, to have an effect, to make a spectacle of myself. Here's what happens is that when I compromise with myself and when I buy my own excuses, I am now giving an example of, again, there's that tacit consent, which we talked about earlier, of buying our excuses, of being a loser, and that I can't be trusted. I mean, after all, if I don't have my word to myself, well, what's it worth to you? People have developed a fear-based belief that any help they receive from another individual is actually an attempt to hurt them or scam them or to mislead them. Where do we get these examples from? From all the low integrity people that we confront on a daily basis. And some of them are in positions of tremendous power. And I talk about that through the remainder of this chapter. But this is why personal integrity is so important. It's bigger than just you or me. When we ignore principles, live dishonestly, and refuse to accept responsibility in our lives, we become part of the problem for everyone. George said, liberty means responsibility. That's why most men dread it. So we can talk about, how I want liberty, I want freedom and causation in my life. But, there's the R word. There's the R word. What won't you do for me? Mr. or Mrs., government, banking system, anyone else, medical profession, right? Won't you just make my decisions for me? Because I don't want to have to be responsible for that. And anything we put on autopilot, we lose control of. Think of your car with your cruise control. You're no longer controlling the speed of the car, right? Now you can override that. It's a machine and you can control the machine, but you get the point. Anything we put on autopilot, we no longer have control of. In other words, when we transfer responsibility elsewhere, we also transfer causation elsewhere. And I'll tell you what, people who are obsessed with control and dominating you are happy to snatch up that control. Happy to. They're obsessed with it. You can see it right now. Bob, you got a thought about this?
Yeah, it struck me when I read this. You kind of put your finger on what I think is the prevailing ill of our society today. Because what is being sold to the American people at large, but you're a victim.
Mm-hmm.
You're a victim of something. Somebody is oppressing you.
Mm-hmm.
And you need the government to help you out.
Yep. It's divide and conquer 101. Hopefully more and more people, well, not hopefully, they are. More and more people are willing to look. But yeah, authoritarians live for authority. And so, and how many times have we been warned about this? How many times? Oh my goodness, through thousands of years in history and writing. So, and look, you don't have to be an American to appreciate. And again, I wrote this 2008, end of 2008, this came out. So time has gone on. And I'm not like a soothsayer or anything. I mean, there were things that are glaringly obvious right there, but you know what? Politics is dirty work, right? Who wants to get involved in that? So, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. But whether we know it or not, we are witnessing this hypocrisy adds to the belief that we should beware of anyone displaying goodwill. Do you guys know that I had a person who I've since ejected from a community call that I do? In fact, it's a community call where I met some of my most favorite people who are on here with us right now. Okay, so hi, you guys, Cecilia, and right. Okay, so, but I had to eject this person. They were so venomous, cynical, just poison oozing from them. So they're no longer in that community. And I in some way I have to pity this person, because no matter what, no matter how much benefit is just shoved at them, all they can see is what's wrong with it. So this person must have been swimming in, and possibly themselves being a person of low ethics. But I'm not going to allow them to poison a group, right? So think about this. The programming that so many people get is that you should beware of anyone attempting to display goodwill, because after all, look at these powerful people who are tearing stuff up with impunity, right? And how many of us feel like we've been scammed in our life, right? The interesting thing is, if we look at scams that are going on right now, I'm talking about big global size scams. And if we're willing to look at that, then we'll see that some of the things that people put their attention on, as far as like, oh, maybe this is a scam, like with a business opportunity or something, they have no idea what a scam is, right? They're getting scammed currently and they don't even know it. But how dare you offer them goodwill? Anyway, here's the Goethe quote. We do not have to visit a madhouse to find disordered minds. Our planet is the mental institution of the universe. Thanks, Johan. Good stuff. So here's where we go with all this. It begins on a personal level, personal integrity. We've got to be willing to authentically be of service to other people. No faking this. Keep your word to yourself, and now you're part of the solution for others as well. So when we're on purpose, we help ourselves and we help our fellow man, and we become willing to receive help from our fellow man. I've heard it was Solomon who said in Proverbs that was it Proverbs? It was one of his writings where he said that integrity can actually be a liability, because now you expect others to have the same virtues, the same ethics as you. You don't suspect that you would be wronged by that person. But he also said, beware of those who flatter with the tongue, for they cast a net for your feet.
Ooh.
All right. So yeah, interesting stuff. All right. So, but we become willing, trust but verify, but because I'm a high integrity individual, I can now expect you to be one too. If all I see is evil, well, what's going on with me? Where like that person I mentioned I had to eject from the group, all they see is evil. What's going on with them, right? So clean hands, have clean hands, and then you can be of benefit to yourself and others, and you can discern and receive benefit from others, because you're not walking around paranoid, like everybody's just out to screw each other, like the ultimate cynicism. This is the cost of low integrity, is every man for himself. It's what Bob just described before. It's divide and conquer. You're either part of the problem or part of the solution. Simple actions that you can take. Give a great personal development book to 10 people you know. Get other people on the path. Now, I'd love to tell you to give them this book, but I think that would be a little bit arrogant. So just pick a book. I've got a reading list you can review. And then please, please, please go on a media fast.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, media fast, 90 days, right? And you'll probably find that you don't even want to go back to it. Like, once you get that crap off your communication lines, it's like, oh my goodness, don't worry. If the aliens are landing, you'll see the ships, you're not going to miss anything big. Okay. And if you want to entertain yourself, go watch movies like The Matrix, which I named my daughter after the character, Trinity, right? V for Vendetta. That's an interesting one. And Idiocracy. Has anyone here seen Idiocracy? Oh my goodness, you guys. It's a comedy. Luke Wilson plays the main actor. He's in an army experiment, and he's the most average guy in the entire army. Okay. And so they're going to experiment with if they can hibernate, their best soldiers for use in wartime. Because right now, all these guys, their best soldiers, they're all trained up and they got nobody to fight. So this guy, the Luke Wilson character, he's not the best guy. He's just the most average guy of all. So they're going to take Mr. Average and they're going to put him in a pod for a year and see if they can thaw him out in a year and, use him later. And so the experiment goes horribly wrong. And it's 500 years later. 500 years later, he finally comes out and the world has been dumbing down for 500 years. People are getting stupider and stupider. And he comes out and he's the smartest guy in the world. Yeah, you should see this movie. It is hilarious. So, Idiocracy.
But Hogan's Heroes, it's much better.
Yeah, okay. Very good. So you are the answer. This is the final full chapter of the book. So the height of mastery is simplicity. I wrote this whole story. I'm not going to go through it now, but if you've read the book, then you know what it is. But the punchline I got out of all this is that interest renders aptitude. Interest renders aptitude. If I'm interested in something, I'm going to develop an aptitude for it. If I'm forcing myself to come up with, remember, this whole idea is that you are the answer. But I'm forcing myself to come up with answers on things that I'm not even interested in. How long can you force yourself through stuff like that? I don't believe that you're going to excel at anything that you're not, interested in or can get to some degree passionate about, right? That you could find purpose in. I'm interested in fulfilling purposes and reaching goals and being of service to people. So I've developed an aptitude for that. Okay. I am not interested in trigonometry. Okay. So no aptitude for it. No mystery there. That's pretty simple, right? So the common thinking of high achievers has been conceptual. That is to say that creative thought, which leads to success, comes from a concept or a vision that a person has unequivocally adopted. This for me is pretty huge, because if I'm not buying my own story or my own path, my own concept of what I can and should be doing, then it's always going to be like half measures. And I know that half measures have never availed me anything. Okay. So here I am attempting to conform to other people's beliefs. These are pretty limp motivators. There's the person who does just enough to not get fired at the job. Is that the answer? If you think about people that want to advance in life, people that want, what's my answer in terms of how do I get a promotion? Well, you outgrow your post. You become bigger than your current station in life, right? That's how you do it. It's not mysterious. Okay. But it's going to have to come from your own volition. It's not going to be, you give me my answer. No, you're the answer. And so here's Henry Ford saying, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have asked for a better horse. Because people, when we get into groupthink and group agreement, you're not going to see a whole lot of evolution there. Okay. It takes an individual, a self-determined individual, to think bigger than whatever, other people think is reasonable or possible. So thank you, Henry, for thinking outside the box on that, or outside the stable, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay. So in my case, I like to know why stuff works. I'm on this intellectual path for a long time. I like to take stuff apart and put it back together and see why it works, why it doesn't work. That's a lot of work. So there are other paths, like the devotional or emotional, sort of a path, and people can get into, that sort of a thing. But I tend to analyze stuff. That's a lot of work to do that. But because of that, because I'm not interested in it, I've become what a lot of people would say is a pretty good person to explain this kind of stuff. Why? Because I've developed an aptitude. I'm interested in knowing why stuff works. So now I've been interested in that long enough that I can now explain to you, here's how this stuff works. And people are like, oh, holy crap. Finally, I know what that philosophy means. Finally, I know how to use that in my life. Oh, well, I'm glad I showed up. Okay. But I've just been studying it for 35 years. And so now maybe I could save you a couple of decades. All right. Now, other people, what is your thing? What is your dharma, so to speak, your purpose in life? What is it that you're so interested in? That you don't have to force yourself. Oh, I got to go think about my goals. Hold on, everyone. Time to light the incense and rub the crystals together, because it's time for me to think about what I want. No, you think about it all the time anyway. There's no force. Aren't you going to develop a very high level of expertise and competence and aptitude? Oh, yeah, you're going to do that. And you're not going to have any competition. right? So when you're looking at what direction should I go in, look in the mirror. What do you believe? Who should you believe? Here's Gerda again. Just trust yourself. Then you'll know how to live. That may be an oversimplification. And yeah, you also have to receive instruction unless you want to pioneer everything. That takes a really long time. So yes, continue to be the student. But the first and most profound answer is to believe in yourself. Yes, you are so capable. And every time I look sideways thinking, well, what do you think I should do? Get instruction, but from a position of self-determined action. So you're the answer, but it's revealed by your action. One of the greatest ways, one of the simplest ways to build a person's self-esteem, to build your self-esteem, is to learn something new every day. So I'm in action, and now I'm adding to that action by distinctions that I'm getting from books, mentors, coaching, whatever it is that I'm involved in. All right. And here's what Missy talked about at the beginning. The reason that 12-step fellowships work is because as soon as a person who is in the grips of their addiction shows up in a 12-step fellowship, they are a part of instead of apart from. The purpose of the group commingles with the purposes of the individuals that make up the group. And then when someone enters that group, they can also be an on-purpose person. Remember before I said the most miserable that I can recognize that I've ever been in my life is when I was purposeless. Think about someone who's in the grips of addiction, and you may or may not have witnessed this. I have, obviously. But a person who's in the grips of that, they are monumentally self-centered and purposeless.
Mhm.
Okay, so can we induce some community, something bigger than just them, that they're the only one in the world. No one understands them. So why I put it in here, and if you read the book, you'll see how this all kind of flows together. Okay, because I'm giving you a bunch of different ideas here. But that individual who now makes up part of that group can then carry that message to the newcomer next week who shows up after a drunken stupor, right? And that person who's got a week of sobriety can now give them hope. And now they're not apart from anymore. Now they can be a part of. The idea that, and let's say here in the business world, right? You're bringing in customers, okay? Or you're enrolling people into your offer, your opportunity, your service, whatever it happens to be. The idea that you're going to have to interact with other people is what's coming up here. And the big question, of course, is who's interacting, who's doing the work, right? Someone who's on purpose and someone who can also lift others up with that impression of increase, like Waddles talked about in The Science of Getting Rich. That's what this is. It's the impression of increase that comes through your action. And because you're an on-purpose person, you can attract others, and they are swept up into that. And you don't have to use as many words. It's beautiful. We could choose to put ourselves in an environment that is going to accelerate our growth. In fact, nothing will accelerate your growth faster than choosing the right environment. And then notice that others will be attracted into that environment as well. This is the great accelerator. If I've seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants, said Isaac Newton. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about committees. Oh my goodness. No. What did I say here? I think committees are fabulous if you want to kill some time while you prepare for old age. I think committees are a great study of how to get the least amount done in the most amount of time. So no, self-determinism, decision maker, Henry Ford. I know you want a better horse. I'm working on something else. I don't need a committee meeting. Okay. But then to scale up from there, you're going to bring in probably juniors, subordinates, employees, outsourcing, things like that, because you've already discovered the answer through your action, not through a committee meeting, through your action. I know we're going in a few different directions here, this chapter. Okay. But you got to get clear right now. You are the next big success, top producer, high achiever, or whatever it is that you're looking for. The main difference between you and those others in that environment that you've decided to immerse yourself in, these people have already been recognized as having done it. It's just time. They made decisions before you did. You can make those same decisions now. You can decide to act right now. Time is on your side, and now you have no competition. Why? Because most people are outsiders. Most people aren't going to friggin' do it. You have no competition. So many of you, when we first met, through some business endeavor, Some of you right now, we recently met through like an e-commerce business, right? So I said to you, look, any bozo can show up and do internet stuff, maybe make money, maybe lose money. I don't know, right? The question in my mind is, why you? Who's doing it? Why are you doing it? Do you have a goal? Do you have a reason? Then who shoots at nothing is sure to hit it, right? What's your target? You damn well better know. And this isn't the only time I'm going to ask you what you want. We're going to ask that question a lot. Okay. And so when you drink your own Kool-Aid, so to speak, right, you've indoctrinated yourself into, this is my guaranteed future outcome. I shall not be denied. This is going to happen, period. Right. So when that's your conversation that you're having with yourself, you've got no competition. Because most people are weekenders, man. They come and they go, whatever. All right. Well, you get whatever. Look at this. Here's a quote from Eric Hoffer. That's the guy I was just mentioning before, where we were referencing, the formation of mass movements. In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists.
Wow.
Yeah. So digressing a little bit here, what have we learned? All right. So my income will be in direct correlation with 3 points, 3 factors. I know, Missy, you and I talked about this. Number 1 is the need or demand for what I do, for the service I provide. Number 2 is my ability to provide that service, to do it. Okay, competence. And number 3 is the difficulty there would be in replacing me should I need to be replaced. Remember, I have no competition now, right? So those 3 things, the demand, my ability, and the difficulty there would be in replacing me, that would determine my income. So where is your answer? Where is your answer? You, right? You want to have some demand for what you do? Great, do some marketing, right? You want to do that to a high level of ability, right? Get interested in that. Get competent, right? The difficulty there would be in replacing you. Don't worry about it. You got no competition. All right. You do the first 2 things, everything else is handled. You just got to decide that that you're going to do it. So here's back to the idea of the difficulty there would be in replacing me. Did you read the story about the 7-Eleven, the difference between 7-Eleven and Starbucks, right? Here's your 89-cent cup of coffee. Is that it? Yeah, get the hell out of here. Versus, oh, sir, how about the latte? Would you like a biscotti to go with your drink today, right? And then I paid 89 cents at 7-Eleven or whatever your convenience store is, and I paid $6, right, at Starbucks. No competition, no comparison. All right. So here's just a little example of the impression of increase and how you can completely dominate in whatever chosen area based on you being in what's called in Dharma. Dharma is a Sanskrit term that means purpose in life. Okay. So your purpose for being here. Remember, the most dreadful state, according to me, is purposeless, right? Useless, miserable. No. Why are you here? And that answer, again, is revealed by your action. I didn't show up and say, you know what? I want to be an author and speaker and business coach. I just started doing it. And people started asking me for, hey, John, what was that book? Hey, John, what did you say to that other guy? John, when you were talking to that customer the other day, you said some shit that it was a bam. I started teaching people this stuff. Well, it's right here. This is where I got it from. I didn't originate this, Oh, okay, thanks, right? And the next thing you know, the crowd started growing. Although we don't have much of a crowd here tonight. Bring a friend, everyone. This is an open session for for the public. And then we get into just a little bit here in the chapter. We got to wrap up here pretty soon. I got to go pick up my daughter. But when you surround yourself with people, look for people that have no personal interest in suppressing or invalidating others because they already have a solid belief in themselves. All right, I'm okay with who I am. I don't need to cut you down for me to be okay or to dominate you or something. So use that as a barometer. Okay. How do you feel when you're around these people? Are they, they good enough with themselves that they don't need to invalidate you? All right. Well, that sounds like a good environment. And to whatever degree I've been able to create those sorts of environments for people so they can flourish. That's why I do what I do. A couple other points here. I was kind of giving you a mind dump right at the end because we're coming to the close of the book. Don't lose your momentum. Don't look sideways, right? If you're going to add other methods, add them. Don't replace them. Don't replace what's already working with some newfangled system. And whatever you do, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Okay. It's a sure way to introvert and to never be satisfied with yourself. Yeah, be dissatisfied with conditions so you can go ahead and create new stuff, go invent some stuff, go improve and optimize. But don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. You don't know that story. Look at that celebrity magazine. You want their life? You want to be on your fourth divorce and your kids on drugs? Is that what you want? Ralph Emerson, envy is ignorance, imitation is suicide.
Mhm.
So don't do that. Okay, again, where's your answer? You are your answer. And how is it revealed? It's revealed by your action. Yes, my answer is revealed when I am in action. It's time for people to stop sidestepping their own power, looking this way and that way. When I'm seeking wisdom in my life, when I go to great people for counsel or to bounce an idea off a mentor, I do it as a result of being in action. It's not a passive thing. It's an active thing. It's a dynamic thing. We cannot steer a parked car. So if you're going to someone saying, I need advice, I'm not doing anything, but would you tell me what to do? Wrong. Go to somebody and say, here's what I did. And it's good. It's bad. It sucks. It's great. Whatever. Let's take a look. Can you show me? Can you see? Here's my action. Can you see something I can't see? Oh, now we can work together. Okay. But it's not a passive thing. Get that really straight. Okay. So yeah, I go ahead and I invest in myself. I go find where people are at the top of their game. And in my case, I've invested over $300,000 in courses and books and seminars, and I'm not done. I'm not done. Okay. Ben Franklin. Bob, one of my favorite Ben Franklin quotes. Here it is. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Oh my goodness. Case closed. Thank you, Ben. So I'd like to conclude this chapter by going back to the original idea we opened up with. Can we have our passion, our fun, our abundance, and our responsibility simultaneously? I've concluded by much observation that not only is the answer yes, but to deny ourselves in one area is to deny ourselves nonetheless throughout.
Mm.
The way to fulfillment is through the fulfillment of who we are. Compromising with this is futility. You are so capable. I don't believe you are, guys. I know you are. Find an organization that has, purpose that you share with and get involved, right? And develop consistency and focus when performing the daily actions you have learned about throughout this book. Remember, consistency and intensity are the keys to progress. Just like showing up in the gym. Do it every day. Lift weights till you can't lift anymore. You're going to get big and strong. It's going to work. Final words. Thank you guys for going on this journey with me. I think if everyone who needed, to add principle into their life and to put attention on these sort of ideas was reading this book, then, I'd be the best-selling author of the entire universe. But alas, it's just us. So thank you. Namaste. And with that, this book is over.
No,
Just beginning.
just beginning. Come on.
All right,
John.
we'll start reading it again. I got to go pick up my daughter.
Yes.
So,
That
so
was
thank you
great.
guys and gals. We're going to start reading Raymond Hollywell, Working with the Law. Okay, so you can catch that on Amazon. I think it's still in copyright. I'm not sure. What year was that? I don't recall what year that was. But go ahead and grab a copy of Working with the Law, and we'll cover the first couple of chapters next week. Lindsay?
Best book you've done. You've overviewed. I loved it.
Wow.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, my friend. Thank you. Coming from you, that's a big compliment because we've read a lot of books.
Yeah,
Yeah. Keep showing up, Lindsay.
I've been showing up. I don't plan on stopping.
I was worried about you. You were like 2 minutes late. I was thinking to send out.
I was doing I was driving really fast to get home from my son's football practice. I was like,
Okay.
seatbelts on. Let's go.
All right. Well, I love you guys. Have a great night.
Thank
I will
you.
see you back here next week. Okay.
Bye, John.
All right. Bye for now.